Recognised you from ABC. There we go. Sorry.
Right, we are back. The three amigos are going to be really peeved because they felt us. They started grieving that I got involved with David here from grumpy old Spurs lads. It's Tottenham. It's the brilliant thing about this is we none of us knew, and I've got plenty to bring to the table. None of us knew how this whole Ange thing was going to pan out. So having our man on the ground in Australia is quite helpful. How are you?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I'm in a bit of shock because you know, over the last 2 days, I've seen, to quote an old Yiddish phrase, you've been a bit broigus with the Aussie fans, the Tottenham fans.
Yeah.
And there I am, a very good friend of mine, Mariam, who's originally from Billericay, good old Essex girl, tells me that Ange is on ABC TV, the equivalent of BBC. So I'm watching it. It's the Ange story, that there's the row with Foster all over again. And then we get to this season, and then they start showing upset Tottenham fans. So first up was one of Alvin and the Chipmunks from We Are Tottenham TV. Then there was some other Henry Wright or someone other, and there you were, in glorious colour on my TV, on Australian TV. And I thought to myself, what is going on here? And so the illustrious company you kept was, as I said, Alvin and the said Chipmunks, Henry Wright or whatever, and the person they quoted the most, other than you, was good old Rory Jennings.
Right. Yeah. I don't know Rory Jennings, and that's Rory no Jennings. Slight. I just do I? I don't.
He's a Talk Sport bloke who is the Chelsea fan, and he's spouting off, talking crap. So, and then you had Max Rushton on as well. He's the Guardian journalist, and he's down here. He's a Tottenham fan. Yeah, he's good, and he was on he's on Channel 10 and all the rest of it. So you were in illustrious. Brilliant. So you and Mrs. Daniels from Neighbours and Bounce to the Talk. It's all Aussie TV stars. You must have had a lot more feedback from Australia overnight, surely.
Well, I tell you what. I mean, we'll continue with this because this week has been tumultuous, for want of a shorter word. I've started putting out content across Facebook, basically. We have an interest in a few Facebook pages. And so one of the things that I hadn't bothered doing before, but as I say, Ange has stolen money out of my mouth, right? My kids are dead. I've had to eat my pets because the football has been so bad that nobody's shopping, nobody's clicking, nobody's buying anything. And so I've had to up my output. And so I put my videos out, which includes the three amigos and includes me just howling at the moon. And these haven't gone down well with the Aussies because they've got quite, what's the proper language? A footprint on social media. And I've had everything. This was like starting on the internet again, 20 odd years later. So I've had, who the hell is this? That's bullshit, mate. Where'd you get your glasses? You got your mum's glasses on, mate. And the puerile nature of your angry Australian cannot be underestimated. This guy has just been walkabout round the bush. He's got sore feet. He's not wearing any shoes. He's sunburnt. He's in a lot of pain, emotionally overwrought. And so he sees this albino with a beard and he just loses his mind. And all they want to do is scream at people who aren't going, Ange is the second coming. If you are not on board the second coming bus, they are very, very, very hostile. So I've really enjoyed this. And to get onto the equivalent of you, if you tell me, I believe you, of the BBC with my poisonous, venomous type views, unfounded, nasty slights, I think that's hilarious. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it because this week, don't get me wrong, I've got skin that is incredibly thick. It's a genetic condition I think I got from my great auntie. But so it doesn't affect me that these morons are shouting and wetting their bed and throwing waste matter at the windows. I've heard it all before. I've heard worse. You cannot possibly touch me with your whining. But yeah, they've really had to go up last week. And then for me to turn up on the Ange FAP compendium was tremendous. So how
Well, I mean,
are
it's a great
things?
irony that you're gone. Sorry, go
No,
on.
how I was just going to say how are things down under? I mean, would you? Because I have some fantastic Australians. I get on very well with you. I'm very interested to hear what you have to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I have some
Yeah.
equally intelligent Aussies involved in this channel and on my Substack. And I'm sure that read the original.com. Is everybody out barking at the moon, or and there's only a few of you normal guys there, or what's the dealio?
well, well, I think you got so look. The nuance last night of the doco, as they like to say here, was
I
it was
thought
an
it was going to
update
be
of his
the
story.
docker.
Yeah. So it was an update of his story because it was like, so they interviewed him from his hotel in Greece, not his own hotel, one he's holidaying at, and that it's very much. He's an Australian who's won a major. He's won the biggest club competition an Australian coach has ever won. Right, that's not in doubt. And I think there's a lot of pride in that, etc., etc. Now, being the tart that I am, when the final whistle went, I rang up 606, Robbie Savage, Chris, and I was emotional. I was emotional. There were tears at the final whistle. There was hugging and tears and a spilt coffee all over a laptop and a speaker, but we don't need to go into that.
Right.
Okay. And then I rang up TalkSport because I just really, really wanted to get one into Alex Crook just before the end of the season because he's a smoke Man U fan. But the fact of the matter is that I might be in a very small minority here in Australia where I am a nostalgist. I'm not a sentimentalist. Thank you very much. You've delivered a great night. It's time to move on. I'm not a sentimentalist. And I think we might be talking about our glorious ownership and things like that in a bit.
No,
but
absolutely.
Look at you got 215,000 people, I think, out on the streets of Tottenham. Yeah. We haven't seen anything like that in years. I don't think the League Cup win, because the League Cup wins are like March normally. We actually probably haven't had a victory parade since 91, I reckon. And you can't. And as much as we've got, and as much as we knock the club and the ownership, and we will be shortly, folks, you can't argue that it was a very well organised event. And it was an amazing thing. I know people who went there, and a real bonding moment as well. So I am in the minority. A lot of people have been coming. I mean, I did go in the office on the Thursday morning in this retro top with my scarf. I did do a lap of honour around the office. I don't care.
I was going to ask you.
It was.
There was a bloke.
Yeah,
there was a bloke on TikTok, I think, and he came in full kit, and it was obviously a tiny little office, like a sort of sales office of a car showroom or something. And he did a lap of honour, and his boss was not very polite to him.
Well, my boss is a very nice, reasonable person. He's a Chelsea fan, and he asked me if I was going to wear my Spurs shirt to the office, but I upgraded. And so I thoroughly, and obviously I obviously worked that day, and then that night, I believe you me, I sunk a few schooners and had a fantastic night and carried that on for about a week because, of course, we have not won a trophy in such a long time. I don't care. We're cynical, we're hard-bent. I get all that, we're grumpy. But that moment when we won it and we lifted that trophy, you can't beat that, can you?
No, I listen, and I think what's perhaps got muddled in the message, because what we do on our show is that we are at the risk of putting ourselves up for another kicking, but we're trying to be a bit more analytical, a bit more the grown-up section. Now, so you got the Spectrum brothers, or the Chipmunks, as you refer to them, Alvin and Cheekaboo, or whatever their name is. Those guys aren't. Those guys, nice guys. I'm sure they're lovely people, well respected within their families, but they're not very bright. So they do the jumping up and down, and the idea that you would capture an emotion on a recording device, to me, is very straightforward. And I've been around before. I'm older than time, so I mean, I remember when they used to send little sort of 15-second voice recorders on key rings and stuff. This is technology that has been amusing monkeys for generations. So these guys going, what? And just happening to have something recording you in HD, it's fake, and I can't be done with it. I have destroyed numerous rooms in my time celebrating moments, and none of them were captured on film, which is why I've not been to prison for it. Do you know what I mean? So I regard everything they do as fake, and but this leads us neatly on to celebrating. And I did celebrate. I celebrated in my own way. I've got a very nice TV system and all the rest of it. And there was plenty of booze in and snacks. And I was very happy. I didn't destroy my property. So apologies for anybody that wanted to see me, homeless, because I was that thing. But this leads
You didn't burn down your living room or set off fireworks like Balotelli.
Well, actually, I thought my living room was going to get burnt down when I spoke to you yesterday, because we were messaging each other on X, and you said, "Oh yeah," I said, "What was the context or whatever?" I said, "Well, how was I on the thing?" And you sent me that screenshot. Oh fuck, this is going to turn nasty. If I'm on the television, that cannot be good. But this leads me neatly onto the flip-floppery. Because my angle and the angle of the lads here is, yes, fantastic. Tony went to the stadium and watched the thing. So there you go. There's us paying our dues, if you like. And so the whole idea of people celebrating, yes, of course, celebrate. It's an incredible achievement. However, you only what really winds me up is people, and I have to say, life experience, it happens to be mostly women. In fact, I've never heard of it with a man. People who have a birthday week, or they make a massive thing of their birthday. Now, managing to stay alive,
they call it Festivus, a birthday month, Festivus.
Well, they can give that, spare the rest of us, I would say. But the idea, you have your birthday, you go woohoo, you undo all your presents, but then you tidy the stuff up and you put the paper in the recycling and you move on with your life. We don't want to hear about it tomorrow. You don't wish people Happy New Year in the second week in January. You have New Year's Eve, you have New Year's Day, that's it. So moving on from the win, we then need to look, with a context. Is that a dirty word? Context. And these people sat through some of the world's most miserable, unrewarding football from last season. It was an unmitigated disaster. And those of you joining us late, we're sponsored by the number 2 and 2. We lost 22 games. That was a club record. We're full of these. Oh, here's 100 appearances for Giovanni Lo Celso. He's 100. 22 games we lost. We lost more games than we won, to put it into the old money. And it was a Premier League record. A Premier League record since the inception of the Premier League. If you lost 22 games, it meant you were relegated. So this was a historic clusterfuck of things that went very, very badly wrong. However, the celebration of the trophy, let us not distract from that. Enjoy the moment, really knock your socks off. But all of these channels have flip-flopped. Not one of them, even Brian Dahul or whatever his name is, the guy who's been on We Are Tottenham TV, who has the We Are Tottenham Daigle. Has the tattoo, if you can believe that, for those of you joining us late. These people have flip-flopped. They have been ENIC out and they've been this out and that out. But you give them a bit of silverware and they are dancing naked in the streets. Well,
I mean,
some of them naked aren't very pretty.
Well, I've been metaphorically dancing in the streets, okay? Don't get me wrong. Now, in a shameless plug, with some Tuesday night UK time, 8 p.m., Grumpy Old Spurs are doing the Grumpies Award. So it's an award show, the Grumpies, okay? We've got Hollywood stars flying in tribute to, we've had a program about the worst Spurs 11 of all time. So Benjamin Stambouli will be making an appearance at the ceremony. And of course, our old favourite Dog of the Week, which was the Dog of the Match that we used to have, thanks to Donna, who we'll talk about. So one of the questions I'll put, so in this context of what we're talking about, of not losing our heads, I'm not going to reveal the winner because you're going to have to tune in tomorrow night. But if I ask you, sir, we did one of them is what was the worst game of the season? Now, I only picked I'd only did 5 choices on Survey Monkey. Yes, I know I'm old. Ready? So here's your 5. You ready for this? And there's loads more. Okay. Liverpool 4, Tottenham 0, second leg semi. Wait for it.
Yeah.
Tottenham 1, Ipswich Town 2, Premier League.
Yeah.
Tottenham 1, Leicester 2 in the Premier League. Tottenham 3, Liverpool 6 in the Premier League. And Tamworth 0, Tottenham 3 in the FA Cup. So those are 5. I'm not going to give it away, but it's a closely fought competition. Now, those are 5. I was spoiled for choice of the worst game of the season. Yeah. I ask you now.
22
I know.
Starters.
I know. So not even the shambolic second half, Brighton away, didn't make it. Fulham away, was it shocking? Didn't make it. I was spoilt for choice. Yeah. So when people are coming up to me in Australia and they're going, "Isn't it great? Good on Ange," and this, that, and the other. And then I go, "Yeah." I mean, they've seen me, frankly, a bit hungover, or I'm out and about. I got my Spurs scarf out, having some beers, but I still say it's great. I've loved it. I thank him. He's got to go. And people momentarily pause and go, "What? You haven't won a trophy in 17 years. He's delivered you, and there's 215,000 people on the streets of Tottenham, and you want him to go. Who do you think you are?"
Yeah, I mean, the contempt is, I would describe it from Australians, is unchecked. So I just need to ask you a very quick question, because obviously you're a man with a finger on the Aussie pulse. Would you say, because obviously you're not in everybody's front room,
like you were last night?
Hey, that's right, kids. Would you say that most Aussie Spurs fans, do the incredible thing of staying up at what time is the game broadcast? Let's baby feed this, spoon this out. What time is a 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock kickoff in Oz? Because I don't know.
Okay, so about 5 months of the year. So it's like from August, because of the time zone differences, right? So a 3 o'clock kickoff could be midnight here, or a 3 o'clock kickoff in the winter could be 2 a.m. Right?
Wow.
So in my younger days, So it's a couple of things there. Yeah, in my more youthful days, hard as it is to believe, looking at me now, that I would.
You'd never know that came straight out of the box, would you?
Sleep.
Right.
No,
okay.
All of you, like. So you can either do a 2-shift sleep, go to bed early, get up, watch the game, go back to bed. But your adrenaline's so going, you're not going to go back to sleep for about an hour, 2 more hours, and that's it. Or you record the game, you watch it like at 5 a.m. without knowing the score. So you sometimes do. You don't have any media near you. Sometimes explaining the concept to certain other people who live in my household, that if you know the score and you're sat there next to me, I'm annoyed at you because I'm just watching you and your reaction, and I'm watching the game. So there's sometimes there's a difficulty. So I have done a fair amount of, and then the midweek games. So like the quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals. That's a 5 a.m. Right. So you get up about 4:40. That's a 5 a.m. And then sometimes it's during when the clocks change again. It might be like a 7 a.m., which is all right, but you got to go to work.
So that's what you're describing to me there. I think I would neatly say is a minefield, because even the 5 a.m. game, that's like, well, I can get up at 5 a.m. That's not going to kill me, but you can't drink because you got to go to work, because you can't get jollied for 2 hours, jollied to within an inch of your life, and then leave the house and go clunk, as you trip over the cat. That's not going to work. So, and
you're a train driver, that's not going to work.
So you've got the other thing. You got the other thing. I want to go like my uncle and peacefully sleep, like as he was when he was working as a pilot for Qantas. No, but I mean, you got the other thing whereby if you want to get into this shift sleep thing, which I've done in the past, to watch like late night fights or when I've been abroad or whatever.
Yeah.
Again, that can be done, but that's arduous. That's not easy.
Yeah.
And then you've got the media blackout, which you've described elegantly there, because it's all very well and good putting yourself in the Mr. and Mrs. Sound booth thing, so your wife can hear the answers, but you can't, and you come out the box, and then our uncle's in the front row, and he shouts out, "Yeah, he likes carrots, doesn't he?"
Yeah.
It's very, very, to use the modern word, problematic. It's not a straightforward job. This is like an Indiana Jones task of getting a football match, and then you've got the doors closed and you get your kids out the way and you've got the sound on, but you've got your phone and everything switched off.
Yeah.
And then in splendid isolation, you get to watch the game. So my question is, given all of these tripwires that we've discovered there, how many Australian Spurs fans actually sat through most of the games, most of the Premier games live? And it isn't me looking down my nose. It's me talking about people selling me cat food, but I know that it's the world's worst cat food. And I want to hear from the consumers that are telling me there's nothing wrong with the cat food, because I know the cat food stinks. You open the tin, you start to gag. You watch Spurs play under Postecoglou and you start to gag because you lose more games than you win. So how many would you say, what sort of percentage would you ballpark it as, given that most Australians, I presume, work? No,
I can't say. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that I've watched every game this season because of the time zone difference, things like that. I watch a lot, and obviously, if I'm pretending to have some idea of what I'm talking about, and go on various podcasts and YouTubes, I make it my business to watch these games, and even watching games that we've lost. Knowing that we've lost, but the night before we do it, we're doing a show because and then that is commitment, because it's shit, but you still got to watch it. So I think the reality, but the reality situation is you're not going to get someone who's watched 100%. Maybe the real ones, not real ones, but the ones who can navigate it, 70 to 80. Exactly. But I do think that the real issue there, and I know you know this, is that Aussies arguing the cause of Ange. If Ange was French, they wouldn't be arguing it now, would they?
No, that's what you see.
That's the whole point.
No. I think that's exactly the whole point. And I've tried to make this point, and they didn't want to listen. They wanted to tell me that they had their fingers in their ears, unless I said, "You're inflicting something on us which isn't fair." Because and one guy yesterday called me a racist, and I said, "That's hilarious. If you want to substantiate that,
how are you being a racist?"
Well, he could call me a lamppost. It would mean the same difference, because I'm not a bloody lamppost. And anyway, the point being is that if you're going to sit on the other side of the world steadfastly, because of situations, because of circumstances, I'm not looking down my nose at you, far from it, because I've been
enjoying the good weather, enjoying
the well.
If you insist on living in a country which has got 10 months of the year pretty good weather, and you dare have an opinion on football, how dare you?
Well, no, that's it. You see, I don't mind your opinion, but your opinion isn't worth as much as a guy who, I've lived abroad. 3 occasions I've lived, and I don't mean on holiday, I've lived overseas. And my first Spurs game, I flew to see Bill Nicholson's testimonial. So I've done the hard yards. So thanks very much for living in Australia. But some of us have lived in Germany, lived in Ireland, lived all over the place. So this business of, you can't have a go at me. Yes, I can, because you're not celebrating the club. You're telling us that black is white. You're telling us that roadkill is a delicacy. And to be told nonsense by somebody has to be taken to task. Because if I'm sitting down with somebody, say like Brian Daigle, So Brian Daigle, he has got very forthright opinions on ENIC out. He's able to argue them. So therefore, anybody in their right mind has to agree with him. Okay, because he's making cogent points. But a bloke who's sitting there, and I agree with you with the thing if Postecoglou was French, but unfortunately he isn't. But these people are just going, you don't know anything about it. I'm telling you, he's the man for the job. 17 years. And they're just sort of shouting out these phrases. And I'm saying to myself, how many of you actually watch the games? Because Chris, who does our show, he's still in the trenches because he's only 15. He's a young lad. He's just been, paper rounds killed him. But he's traveling into the stadium. He's giving Enoch his money, and every single game, he like many of our listeners or viewers, whatever you want to call them, are using it for therapy. This way, we have saved many cats from being kicked. We've saved many marriages, and we've saved many women from finding their husbands swinging in the garage, because we are working it out together as a group. It's a self-help group.
Yeah.
So then you've got people who are watching the game on catch-up.
Yeah.
But people are watching the game on catch-up telling us that black is white. It will not stand. It will not stand. It cannot stand. It's nonsense.
Okay, so the flip side of that is, so someone on Twitter a couple of weeks ago said, he called me someone, someone like you telling Change for Tottenham what to do or not what to do. You don't even know where the stadium is.
Yeah, that's uncalled for.
But it was just hilarious. We talked about it on Grumpy Old Spurs, and I said to Gibbo, look, the next time I'm over, can you show me where the stadium is? I've no idea how to get there. I've only been going there. I only started going there 3 months after Elvis had his last shit. But that's so that was a funny one, right? And then you get but the thing is there's not a certain this views on Ange, is there not a certain percentage of it, and I'll flip this.
Yeah.
Let's say he was French.
Yep.
He is not Australian. He hasn't come from the A-League and Celtic and this, that, and the other. Would he get a bit more respect if he was French, more Italian?
Oh, right. Has the dog got a bad name because of where the dogs come from? Right. For me personally, I don't care, and this is going to upset a lot of people. I don't care if you're gay, straight, or Australian, as long as you're the best person for the job. For me, there's no DEI in my world. There is meritocracy only. So I love the fact that he comes in like John Wayne and he does the old, I'm going to win in my second season. I always win. I love the fact that he calls himself a serial winner. I love this. I think he's got that swagger about him. I think in his press conferences, he carries himself with a certain, venom. And we saw him snarling at Dan Kilpatrick from the Evening Standard. Don't call me a clown, mate. I'm not a clown. All that business. Unfortunately, this is betrayed. This is betrayed by 22 losses in the Premier League, which we cannot sweep. There isn't a carpet big enough to sweep that under. So therefore, all of the stuff that he's come out with, and I'd say the same if he was Italian, Mongolian, Chinese, Scots, Irish, I wouldn't care, because you cannot get away with losing those many games. And like I say, Chris goes there every other week or whatever it is, and he is like a lot of people. I've had friends for many years, and they are surrendering their season tickets.
Yeah.
So this is the dichotomy in the fan base. We've got people who actually attend, who, to be honest with you, I find in the main very boring, because most season ticket holders, do you know how interesting their conversation is? Yeah, I've been going for 60 years, mate. I've been going for 60 years. Count them. 3 school years I've been going, and that's all they have to tell you. It's very, very, very rare to find an informed season ticket holder. And I'm just telling you my life experiences, right? They're not particularly interesting people. So I'm much more interested in talking
I'm going to make sure I tell my brother that. I'm going to tell my brother that he's not very interesting.
Yeah, but it's true, because that's what I've experienced over decades and decades and decades of watching this club. Whereas talking to you, you're a lively guy, you're a smart guy. You might be asleep when Spurs are playing, but that doesn't matter to me, because your opinion is well worth tuning in for. Whereas this,
thank you.
But this nonsense of 17 years, mate, you don't know what you're talking about. You got your mum's glasses on, mate. This is mental patient territory.
Yeah.
You do not negotiate. You do not negotiate with terrorists. And Australian Spurs fans are effectively Hamas by another name.
Have you ever been to Australia?
I'm not going.
No, I was about to say you've got no chance of getting in. I'd forget. I mean, I bought some tickets today for the Ashes for the Sydney Test. I mean, you got no chance of getting in, mate. You ain't going to make it. But I mean, to be honest with you, by the time it gets to Sydney, it's all over anyway. Yeah, look, as I said, you've got. I think. Listen, we were the same last week after. So we talked about the game. We talked about the, dare I say it, the emotional side of it. I was like in. My son, Gibbo, was throwing his son around the room nicely.
I'm pleased you eventually hugged your own child. That's warming.
Excuse me, I've been hugging my child, whether he likes it or not, for years. Okay, now he's invested in it. For me, genuinely, for my son. I mean, the last time we won a trophy, he was literally in a cot. And I was Marceau celebrating in the middle of the night. I watched it in the middle of the night. We beat Chelsea. Yeah. So he's like a 16, 17-year-old. So we hugged. There were some tears. I don't mind admitting that. And that's great for my brother and my niece, who's got really love and bits. He's really got into Tottenham this year. What a year to get into them. and they went to the parade as well. It's an amazing experience. And I got other mates. I'm sure you got mates and kids. And sit for their first trophy in their lifetime now. That's gone. And that is amazing, right? But the fact remains is, and that's as disbelieving to everyone people coming up to me, left, right, centre. I've been getting messages people I haven't spoken to in years. He has still got to go. That's it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Although I do question, perhaps it's the people that are coming up to you, and it does sound a little bit as if you're, I won't say John Lennon walking through New York. That's going to backfire immediately. But you're like Elvis walking through Times Square.
December 1980. Yeah. Okay.
But you're like Elvis. You're the effect. Thank you very much. But you're like the Elvis of your generation walking through, Fifth Avenue, and people are coming up to you wanting you to sign things. But I would suggest that those people aren't using the internet. Because 90% of the people that I've encountered, and I don't mean the ones that have attacked me, but the ones that are just screaming at the top of their voices, you can't sack him. This is a generational manager. I don't think they use the internet. I think the people you've met are not using the internet.
No, but the thing is that, as I said, the nuance of this ABC story last night and the feeling in Australia for him, he's only gone and done it. He has only won us a trophy. He's won us a trophy. We haven't won one in years. And the whole nuance of the story last night, we're known for failure and all that nonsense, right, was true. And he's done it. Now, what is the thing that we're going to do? If Levy makes a correct decision, sorry, I'll say that again. If Levy makes a correct decision,
if Levy's still here next week,
well, we'll get on to that in a minute, won't we? But Australia collectively are going to turn around and go, "You mugs are a bunch of losers. Yeah. Our man has brought you a trophy, and now you've got rid of him." That's
the other thing as well. And there was one guy who was particularly emotional with me, and but I've seen worse. I've seen other people been literally set upon like crackheads around somebody who's dropped their wallet, And this guy went berserk and he said, "You don't know what you're talking about." And it was paragraph after paragraph after paragraph of all this. Why I was out of my mind and my Ange was the risen Christ. And then I looked on his Facebook profile, and there's a picture of him in a Raiders shirt saying, "I can't wait till we get back to the real sport." So he was just a blow-in. He wasn't particularly. There was nothing on his timeline that you could have identified him as a Tottenham fan. But as you said quite rightly, he was speaking as a very proud Australian, which I totally get until you lose your mind. Because I'm quite proud. I'm quite proud of the country that I live in. However, there's only so far I go about it, because otherwise you look like somebody who has lost their mind. Which is when you get people with Union Jacks or Union flags flying outside their houses and stuff. I get there's a sense of pride there, but we don't need to paint a Union flag all over our car. We get it. If England are playing, put an England shirt on if you feel so inclined. We get it. We enjoy it. We welcome it, blah, blah, blah. But it's like the people that go berserk at Christmas. I don't know if that's an Australian thing, possibly not, with the lighting, where they just cover their house and their electricity bill is like £1 million and their house looks like a theme park. those people are out of their minds. And you wouldn't want to live next door to them. And it's just, that's the point of whereby you say to yourself, I understand you're proud of your fellow countrymen having made such a massive achievement, but turn the lights off because your house is about to catch fire with your pride. Your pride has hit a 27-foot snowman on your front porch. And that's too far. That's cuckoo. And you need to just reel it in a little bit. And that's where I am with the Australian thing. I don't hate Australians at all, but the Australians that I've encountered online have lost their marbles. And they're currently at the local police station saying to people, I don't know where they went, mate. They're all in the bag.
Well, there is a gentleman there's a gentleman in Melbourne who sometimes was on the cheese room, and I'm still in touch with him. He did say that he has argued with you on YouTube, and I did inform him that I am going to be doing something, part 2 of you today. I haven't had a response back. Someone at work turned around to me and said, I watched the Ange
that bloke off ABC.
Yeah, well, this is the conversation at work, because at work today, a lady turned around to me and she said to me, guess what I watched last night? I said, was it Ange on ABC? And she goes, yeah. She said, do you remember the bloke with the big glasses was very rude? And she's like, I'm trying to remember. Goes, yeah, I'm doing a podcast with him tonight. I'll send you regards. And she's on the football as well, right? So the way it's been done, all these ungrateful, moaning Tottenham fans, we're rubbish. And he's only gone and done it, and he's on holiday in Greece.
Yeah,
right?
Good luck to him.
And good luck to him, because he deserves it. And basically that's where we are. So again, I've come back here a second time to try and repair diplomatic relations between Australia and England. And frankly, I'm a bit over it. So we're gonna shall we move on and talk about Donna Cullen?
Yeah, I mean,
if you want,
out of the frying pan and into the depths of the fire of hell. Donna Cullen has left the building, and we're now being told by look, rumor mongers. I'm a rumor monger. You know, the currency is gossip. We're being told she didn't walk. She was pushed. We're told that there's this Peter Carrington lurking around as he was a non-executive CEO, and now he's going to become executive CEO.
ECO is that
an ECO? Exactly, and exactly. He's going to become, and then we've got this business, the threat that Levy could be gone. No. And there's even this, that I was told by a guy yesterday who is generally speaking pretty good, but the trouble is, there's a phrase in English which you've probably heard. It's called a movable feast. And it irritates the hell out of people, because it's like saying, if you go to, you go to that shop over there, they do really good steaks. Well, the reality is, you're talking about slaughtering a cow, you're talking about, there's a lot of moving parts. So sometimes you go there and it's insane, and other times it's okay. That's a reality. It's okay. It's not always A1, triple A1. And so this guy's information is routinely very good. So all you can do is pass it on in good faith. But the situation could turn, and a counter accusation has been made that Levy isn't going anywhere because he threw Donna under the bus, just to add an extra twist in the tale. So
if you just excuse me 1 minute, I'm just going to move my camera just a little bit that way. Is that all right? So you can. Just
I thought you were going to reveal that you had Donna sat next to you. That put a fear of God.
Donna is about to turn up. Donna is about to turn up shortly, as she will now become my second wife. So you can only
what
see
interesting
that.
taste you have.
Well, thank you. So this is what I've heard. So you have an ITK that says they're selling up, and they're selling up to non sports washers. I think you said, right? That's your source.
Yeah. Correct.
Another source that I heard was he knows nothing else in life. And he knows he's obviously made a lot of money, more money than he knows what to do with. And he ain't going anywhere. Now, what do we know? We know that in the last, 12 months ago, it was on Bloomberg. It was in the accounts last year. We covered all this. They're looking for a capital injection. What I'm led to believe and understand is that Lewis Trust don't want to put any more money into the club whatsoever. which is why we're kind of, the way we are. I mean, look at the transfer market so far. Look at what United have done in 2 or 3 days and what Chelsea are doing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the fact remains is that Cullen's, I heard that Cullen, what my understanding was, Cullen wanted to go last year. Levy said, stay 1 more year. And she agreed to that. She made sure that we continue to have a dog of the match. And also, she also had a bring your dog to work day, of course. And let's not forget, of course, our commitment to the environment and the investment into that renewable battery company. And let's just leave it at that one. You can read all about it in Matt Law's articles and company accounts. But there you go.
I thought just a quickie on the renewable energy and the carbon footprint. What I thought was tremendous was and gave my heart a problem. I had to go and see my cardiologist because my heart's swollen so significantly in the news that we teamed up. With all the guys at the footer on the club website. You got Cadbury's and Dulux. We remember what a smash hit that alignment of branding was. Yeah, the dog that ate the trophy cabinet. But they teamed up with a firm I can't remember the name of, so that they will remain nameless. But they're in China and they make artificial pitch bits and pieces. So just picture it in the Chinese hinterland in the rear of the country. These satanic mills burning into the night to make artificial grass for Daniel Levy. Honestly, my heart just went.
Excuse me. We have signed up. The first club to sign up to the UN Race to Zero, number 1. Okay,
and then went to Japan to play West Ham or wherever it was.
You're robbing me of my punchline, but anyway.
Sorry.
Number two. We signed up for this renewable battery deal where no relation of any member of the board is involved on the other side of the transaction at the time. I won't hear a word of it. And then, of course, we had the first net zero game. Remember that one?
Oh, and I can tell you a little interesting bit of information because he's no longer working for the company. Do you remember that guy from Sky Sports who used to be? They were going pitch side with, I can't remember the guy's name, Peter Shreves or something. I can't remember his name.
But there was a guy, Jeff Shreves, maybe.
Jeff Shreves, yeah, that's it. So this guy turned up on his bicycle, right? And he did the whole net zero thing. Nice to meet you, everybody. Jeff from Sky Sports here. Got absolutely wankered after the game, after his broadcast duties were done, and was thrown in the back of an Uber and left his bike at the stadium.
Nice work. But then, of course, so we had the first net zero game, don't forget. And then, of course, our partner is Ineos with the 4x4 fuel guzzling cars.
Tremendous. So they've virtually ticked every single box.
If only what I'd like to see next year is Gretel Thunberg lead the team out. If that could happen, I'd be just over the moon. But she's on her way on a ship somewhere, which we won't talk about. But there we go. So back to Donna. So Donna. So your ITK is Donna's thrown under the bus. My understanding is she was going to go spend more time with the family, and that was it. Then there's Matthew Coldcuts, or whatever his name is. Now,
Collicott, is it? I can't.
Coldcuts, whatever his name is. I call him Coldcuts. But anyway, he's so you're Coldcuts. My understanding is he won't be the CFO anymore, but he'll be something else. It'll be something else. Then we've got our friend who's coming in from Arsenal, who's the CEO, I believe, of the football club. So I think that Scott Munn will be going back to his Moby lookalike career, and another Australian goes out the door, which of course you'll be happy with. And so there's a couple of Australians.
I can't stand the bastards.
Correct. So there's a couple of Australians. Moby, Ange is gone, and obviously because I don't know the way to the stadium, I'll be off supporting another team like I don't know. Brisbane.
You'll end up at Fulham. I mean, you'll get directed there by somebody who's not from England anyway that lives here, and they'll just say, "Yeah, football, mate, over there," and you'll end up in Fulham. So that's all right. At least you'll be at a game. Yeah.
I've had a good stint with it all, but it's been great. And now Ange is going. I'm going to go and support Fulham or QPR. By the way, when I was on last time and I clipped up and showed to my QPR mate that Ange should go to QPR and the Walkabout Bar, he got very upset about that and told me the Walkabout Bar closed down 5 years ago. So that's that one. So
typical Aussie.
No, he's English. No, he's an English kid. Oh yeah, me. Yeah. That's right.
You recommending a bar that hasn't been trading for half a decade.
What can I say? I've been here on and off since '99. So Donna's on her way. Now, if we're saying that the big announcement is Levy is going, but that means if Levy's going, someone's got to buy the thing, right?
Well,
Would you not say?
The deal, as I see it, and I wouldn't say I'm the world's most intelligent financier, but there's certain things that are kind of immovable objects. One is that Daniel Levy, despite what anybody thinks of him, owns a third of the operation. Now, whether the operation is closely linked to the Lewis Trust or not, we know it is. There's threats that
sorry, just to be clear, it's the Lewis Family Trust, which of course has got nothing to do with Joe Lewis. It's just that name is the same. But carry on.
Correct. And but my understanding is that there's somebody at this trust who doesn't care for either Ange or Daniel Levy. But this isn't ITK. This is what somebody's basically told me over a pint. So I've not put this out as a big headline thing. Whereas the information about a non-Saudi entity being interested in taking us over was something that I think is deserved of consideration because of the quality of the source. And I can only repeat, I describe him and her as impeccable. But
so it's a non-Saudi. So you're saying it's a non-sports washer.
Well, what I'm saying is, and this goes back to the movable piece thing, because unfortunately, because I'm a grown-up and I'm not prepared to be nailed to a crucifix as an aside, because my life is a little bit more important than 5 minutes on a podcast, is that this great piece of information was given to me a week ago, and at the time, that was the understanding. You see, this is the way that grown-ups speak, and I'm sure it's the way you speak when your son says to you, Dad, can I have an aeroplane? And you said, yeah, we'll probably try, and Christmas is coming. You don't say yes and sign anything off with a team of lawyers because it could blow up, and nobody enjoys those moments. So, but I think, the problem we've got is the fact that Daniel would want an awful lot of money, and also these appointment shifting that's going. Donna Cullen, cheerio, wonderful, but the guy that's coming from Arsenal, and the introduction of or the possible introduction of Carrington. This doesn't indicate to me that this is an external attack. This indicates to me, because don't companies bring in their own people? Or am I supposed to suspend my disbelief and think that whoever it is, say Mr. Mystery Man, the head of the cartel or whatever that's coming in, has said to Daniel Levy, I want you to bring in this guy from Arsenal. I want you to bring in one of your sleeping directors to an executive position, and I want you to get rid of Donna Cullen. That to me, I don't know. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm just saying that seems a bit of a leap. It doesn't smell at the moment to me like it's bid up for somebody external coming in, because it looks like they're taking care of their own business.
Well, you got Charrington, whatever his name is. He's been on the board for I think about a year or so, and his background is very much. My understanding is M&A investment banker. Yeah. Okay. So he's been brought in. One assumes because one of the theories is that he's been brought in by the Lewis Family Trust to make sure that a decent price is being discussed or a decent investment is being discussed. And another, I think you said it yesterday, is the fact that Joe Lewis's daughter likes the fact that this is known as a football club, that she is a passionate Tottenham fan, right? More than her old man, no doubt. And call me naive for a minute and just suspend your disbelief. The fact that 215,000 people turned out on the streets of Tottenham the other week.
Yep.
On a cynical level, those people in the upper echelons and Levy and whatever, Lewis's daughter will go, that's 250,000 pockets whose money I could get hold of at some point or another. And maybe, but that's cynical, but maybe people just realize and look at it and go, we've done something for the first time in 17 years. and look at the outpouring of emotion there. I mean, people running on the pitch. And what was beautiful was apparently the announcer said, "Don't get off the pitch. We've got Brighton at home on Sunday." Who gives a shit, right? Do you see that outpour of emotion all around the world? And suddenly someone somewhere goes, maybe we should start going to being a football club again, not a boxing thing. Yeah?
I think you're right.
Maybe.
I think you're
so.
No. I think you're
What are
absolutely
we
right.
saying here? What is the ultimate? Yeah, but what's the ultimate scenario we're going to end up though?
Well, I just come back to the business about being a football club. I think that one of the problems I have, okay, because I'm a very old-fashioned guy. I used to be in retail for a long time before I was a internationally renowned celebrity influencer on BBC Australia. But no, the point being is you mustn't.
No, you're on ABC, not BBC.
Well, they certainly wouldn't have me on, I tell you. But so you mustn't. This is one of the golden rules of business, right? And I'm going to give this to you for free, so you can tell your kids about this. This was the day it happened.
I'm going to sit back and listen to this one. Go on.
Yeah, you must not lose sight of your customer. The moment you do that, you don't have a customer. So I'll give you David Ratner. You said that the earrings he sold, their best-selling product, of $4.99. It was better value to buy a Marks and Spencer sandwich. His business went pop the next day. There's endless lists of these examples, these moments where people lost sight of their customer. In this country, Wilko, which for some reason I have in my head is Australian, but I'm going to leave that there because I'm not clear. It's just a Wilko sort of thing. Anyway, but Wilko, for example, we're trying to sell people Christmas trees for 250-300 quid. Your Wilko customer wants to buy dishcloths for 99p. They lost sight of their customer. They went pop. So when you walk into like Primark or Pennies or whatever it is in your country, you walk into there and you want to get a T-shirt for your daughter for £2. Don't care which sweatshop it's come from. So they must always keep their eye on and understand who their customer is. Now, Tottenham Hotspur set fire to that rule again and again and again and again. So they
a long time now selling a long time ago.
Yeah, and they've done a concerted campaign, and I will refer you again because I'm never going to stop telling truths. They invited the Metropolitan Police Force into White Hart Lane to arrest people for using the Y word, which is now a dirty word in some people's books, but you can't do me for it, everybody, because the Crown Prosecution Service dropped all the cases. But they slapped banning orders on the people that were shouting, you know, in a collaborative, fraternal way to their friends and their pals at the game. But they made out like the National Front had come in and they had to book them, Dano, and everybody up against the wall. So they've been so aggressive against their own fans. And again, I go back to it when they did the thematics for the new stadium. There weren't any fans in there. There were blokes wearing Dockers and polo shirts with carrier bags and children. No blokes with shaved heads, flat faces, and big coats on, looking rather menacing. No real football fans of old. The whole thing was
their children hang on. Was their children in carrier bags or were they outside the carrier bags?
They had carrier bags full of children, and it was part of a worldwide. No, I can't even use that language.
Race to zero.
A race to zero, and they didn't care what happened to them. Just throw the bags into the furnaces. That's what I was told.
With children in.
And yeah, absolutely. And there was no mention of body parts or sex parties late into the night and effigies and all that. That never happened. But the point being is that they've been hell bent on this campaign of where is the next boxing match? Where's the next pop star playing? We're also selling vegan wraps. We're also doing this, and there's no branding. And I've said this time and time again. They've made that building, that place, the stadium, into such a chameleon. It has no character because everything's transitory. So you go there on a match day, and it's got all the Spurs shirts and Ozzy Ardiles was here on a mug and all the rest of it. You go there when Guns N' Roses are on, and it's got tour t-shirts. Nobody knows what it is, and so anyway, they've been on a path absolutely away from the football, and maybe. I'm agreeing with you. A coin dropped, a moment of clarity, call it what you will, that they thought, hang on a minute, there's a hell of a lot of people here going bonkers and really proud to be associated with us. And all that stuff we ignored for a decade or so about reputational damage and connection with fans.
Yep.
These people are screaming and shouting, and call me a racist. I just don't care. But they know the words and they're singing along and they're dancing and they're happy, opposed to people from other parts of the world who are sitting there in silence, clutching all of the stuff they've bought from the merchandise store and the food outlets, who could be at the opera, could be at the Formula One.
Hang on. But you know why there was 215,000 people there that day? You know why?
Was it Sadiq Khan?
One man. No. It's only down to one man, and that man was an Australian, Ange Postecoglou.
Ah, no. Well, maybe we could look. Maybe we could hire him. Maybe we could hire him in the future to do public event speaking. Wheel him round on a bus. Give him the publicity he thrives. That's what I say. I've nothing against the man personally.
Look at the fractured state of the club when he came in. Fool's gold. Stellini, Conte, Paratici band. He came in and he united us all. He gave us one night in Bilbao.
I tell you something though, but that magic fairy dust he had in his pocket, that was something else, wasn't it? Because it not only brought us a trophy, but it brought us abject misery for months and months on end. In fact, the misery started at the Chelsea loss the previous season. I mean, this is like Spinal Tap. This is like Spinal Tap. The support band was so bad, they were still booing when we came on. that should be the subtext for an Ange documentary for his doco.
Yeah. But it won't be one made in Australia, mate, because he's a national hero. And that's what it is. And you are now a pariah. I mean, if I get people coming up to me tomorrow going, who's that bloke in the glasses? Do you know him? I go, oh, no. I've no idea who he is.
I don't know who he is. And in fact,
I don't know who he is.
I even regret you asking me about him. I know.
Yeah, I mean, why would you think I know about him? Didn't you? I've seen you on YouTube with that retro top, and he's there as well. What's all that?
No. This is a mishmash that's been put together by some kids on TikTok. This is not a conversation. This is been edited so craftily. You'd think we would look. You see, you just did a there because they think it's a time delay. That's not happening.
This is actually me on Lads at Tottenham, and this is you. So I mean, I think maybe we have to wrap up in a minute. But the thing about these two sessions that you've done here, a lot of people won't get this reference, but I do feel like when Arthur Fowler went behind Pauline Fowler's back and had it off with Michael Aspel's wife in real life, and Christine, because your mates, I think I watched your show a couple of shows after we did the first one, and your mate was going about, oh, you're back from your Australian friend, are you? In that way. And frankly, my good showbiz chum and partner is going on about how I'm just a lush going on the Spurs show, doing this, all these HOTSPURs, bringing up 606, all that. So, we are. Do you want to be Michael Aspel's wife? Or do you want to be Arthur Fowler? You can choose.
I think you're right. We are. I do sense we're wrapping it up because we're now returning to Donna Cullen and the numerous dogging references that you made in relation to her. And I don't see there's a huge mental leap between.
It's a renewable battery that helps her do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Donna Cullen has no questions to answer in that aspect of her life, and is very happily married with numerous children and grandchildren, but
particularly one child. But anyway, we'll move.
Oh, right, exactly, which was so good they didn't want any more. Is what I've been hearing. I know that's the police in my ear. Listen, I think we've hit the hour mark. This has been a fantastic two-parter. So I'm going to put the link to that in there. I'll put the link to your show. When are you doing your Grumpies? When are the Grumpy Awards?
The Grumpy Awards is live from London's glittering West End at the Grosvenor Park Hotel. Just to be clear, that's not true.
I kind of worked that. That might not have been accurate, but
no. That's 8 p.m. Tuesday night, which is tonight, 8 p.m. your time.
Oh,
so
right.
As an exciting, I will be up at 5 a.m. I might even wear a bow tie, and we're going to be doing all the usuals, and we will be asking the question, and we've done a survey. What was your grumpiest non-match moment of the season? Okay. And so it was
Right.
do you want me to give you to wrap it up? Do you want me to give you the options? You ready?
Yeah, go.
And then
Yeah,
we'll go.
why not? Why not?
I'm not going to reveal the winner, obviously. So here we go. All right. So I'll go for it, and then you can vote. Ready? I'll go for all of them. Squid Games activation at Liverpool. The fans forum. Gibbo, as a running joke, Gibbo not finishing the Spurs 90s book. I ask him every week. It's a good book. I've read it. Daniel Levy's REM numbers in the accounts. And just press conference. I suspect you're going to vote for that, aren't you? Given you're anti-Australian. Cutie Romero not acknowledging the away fans at Wolves and turning on his heels after 3 claps. King Charles III throwing an American football on the hallowed turf, which for me, by the way, is the perfect metaphor for ENIC, but moving on. Me ringing 606 and White and Jordan incessantly. And then finally, our dear captain, Sonny, cuddling and crying after every defeat. So those were what's the grumpiest non-match moment of the season. So
for me, that can only be one winner.
I know that. Go on.
For me, it has to be the fan forum, because to me, diversity, equity, and inclusion are the pillars of any good football club. And I like the trans flag thing laid out in the stadium. That is a massive thing. That makes my heart swell. Again, that's why I have a cardiologist on standby permanently these days with the club. And the idea that you need to find the most glittering array of wonderful different human beings to guide a football club. It's really important to me that there be like a one-eyed lesbian living in Peru who would be part of the process, because we are stronger together, even if we are out of our minds. That's how
You have surprised me with that answer. I thought for sure you were going with the press conferences. So I think
I can cough. I can cough a bit, and there's me staring at my feet. I think the press conferences. I found him rude, but you see, I'm so anti-Australian. I could even just indulge that rudeness because I didn't think he was even trying.
Yeah, but I like rudeness, so I don't have a problem with it. So I think maybe, dare I suggest that maybe we do a trilogy once at some point we're ensconced into the season.
Absolutely.
And there's more news to review. And then obviously you'll have to, we'll get a hotel together like Arthur Fowler and Michael Aspel's wife.
Maybe Donna Cullen could recommend somewhere out of the way. Yeah. So we should do a trilogy, if only to keep Chris and Tony on their toes. Right, that's grumpy
Gibbo
old.
Just to be moaning.
Yeah, exactly. Whilst we whore ourselves around the internet, Grumpy Old Spurs on at 8 o'clock this evening. This show will be going out in the next 20 minutes if we're very lucky. That's it for now. Good luck. Keep it on them. Right, and we're out of here, as they say.